Personalisation is all about giving people choice and control and a voice in their lives. And that shouldn't change when people are at end of life or they have a life-limiting condition. We don't have any second chances around end of life, so it's very important to get it right as soon as we can. And one of the ways we can do that is to look at using person-centred thinking and person-centred approaches when we're having conversations with people and their families and the people involved in their care as well. We need to look at this much more closely now and really focus on planning with people at end of life. It really gives us an opportunity to make those changes that are so important to them now and for the future that they have, to make what's important to them really happen and make it real. Some of the tools that we've been using, for example, are If I Could, I Would, which is a really important tool because one of the things we want to focus on at end of life is not just about the death and the dying phase, but that people are actually still living and can live with a life-limiting illness for quite a number of years. So it's about how do we keep them living well and keep them focused on things what they want to do. If I Could, I Would is a really lovely tool to start having conversations with people about what they still want to get out of life, what they still want to plan for. And it really gives you an opportunity to focus on how you can support them to achieve some of those things that they want to do that they'll really get pleasure from, but that means so much to them. One of the most important tools at end of life and when we're planning with people is decision-making agreement. Usually when people are diagnosed with a life-limiting illness, there is a lot of professionals involved and they'll come from a variety of agencies and in and out of the door, or people are in and out of hospital or different care settings. So actually keeping control and having their influence still in the way that they are cared for or their treatment is arranged is still very important. And a decision-making agreement can look at how the person is involved in some of the decisions that they still want to make and still be involved in. And it enables the person's voice to actually be carried into some of those multidisciplinary meetings or those meetings where treatments are discussed where traditionally the person or the patient wouldn't be, but the voice can still be heard about what matters to them. We've also used one-page profiles, and they're a wonderful tool to actually look at what's important to someone and how best to support them. And it really gives an opportunity for anybody providing the care to actually get to know the person very quickly and to actually continue to provide the good support they need in any setting so that it's just seamless. The transition can be that they get good, consistent care from whatever agency or from whatever setting they're in. Some of these person-centred thinking tools we used with Stephen, and Stephen was a gentleman who lived actually in a residential care home who was diagnosed with cancer in June of last year. And the benefit to Stephen was that some of the tools really kept Stephen alive throughout the long journey he had through lots of treatments and in and out of hospital. Stephen was never lost, his voice was never lost, and we continued to provide the good support that Stephen needed right till the very end. And some of the tools we used for Stephen were like If I Could, I Would. And some of the things that came from that was Stephen's love of football, and he loved his local football team and used to love to go and see them. So one of the wishes that he still wanted to do was to go to the football match. And with support and with planning, we managed to arrange that in the final weeks of Stephen's life. He also wanted to visit one of our great traditions in Hull, which is our Hull Fair. And again, it enabled the staff team who cared for him to really plan carefully, but to enable to him achieve some of his last wishes. We also completed for Stephen a history map, and that was really good because it was around remembering Stephen for the person who he was. When he came towards the end of his illness, he was a different person, he was a different man, and his life had changed. But it was really good going back and discussing with him some of the things that he loved and he remembered from his childhood and from his growing up in Bransburton. So it was a really nice tool to use to capture some of the essence of Stephen, but also it enables staff to have lovely conversations with him and help reminisce about some of the really good times that he had in his life.